Hey, what's going on? Keith here from Sports Vibes TV, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Stephen Fox. Foxy, my man, how's everything with you, bro?
Fantastic! Shout out to you. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the SV Nation. One to go. What a win. I can't wait to chop it up with you and the gang. How are you doing?
I'm ecstatic, bro. I had a lot of running around to do in the morning. Got home, got situated, and I was able to see my Knicks protect home court. That was the biggest thing that they had to do entering this little homestand part of the series, and they did exactly what they had to do. Man, they had opportunities to give the game away, especially in that third quarter where things got a little bit dicey. What I love to see was the fact that the Knicks took the Cavs' best punch tonight, and they were able to withstand that adversity and find a way to rip their heart outs in that fourth quarter. So to me, that was amazing. That's something that this team can build off of. Going back into Cleveland to see if we can do this gentleman sweep. Hopefully, that's something that we'll be able to take care of. But for now, just gonna savor this win, enjoy it, and time to celebrate, man.
Time to celebrate. I'm so proud. Whether Jalen and RJ and Josh and Tibbs. We're going to be talking about Tibbs. I'm so proud of Tibbs, and I've brought up in past things that I think one of your best. You have a billion of them, but one of your best takes this whole year was that the expectations of not only development from our players but from our coach, and we've actually seen development from Tibbs. He did moves today that I didn't think he'd do. So shout out to Tibbs, man.
Yeah, one of those moves is sticking with our guy Obi Toppin in that fourth quarter. The team was definitely grooving when he was out there with that starting unit. And, some guys, Julius Randle did struggle in this game, but Tibbs made the decision to, move forward with Obi Toppin because he put us in the best situation to win. And that's something that heading into the playoffs, we weren't sure Tibbs would be willing to do. And we saw that he was able to do that. And it just gives us more hope that he'll continue to make some of the right adjustments, especially with the rotations, because that's always been a gripe that we've had, and it seems like Tibbs is learning. We've always said that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but it looks like Tom Thibodeau is starting to learn from some of his previous mistakes and not setting himself up for failure moving forward. So got to give kudos to Tibbs for that.
Yeah, I thought it was in stone. Shout out to our guy JD. The term template coaching. He's not template coaching. There seems to be that whether Johnny Bryant seems to be in his ear more, but he's making moves and rotations that I didn't think he'd do a year or so ago. So shout out to Tibbs, man.
Yeah, he had me a little bit nervous. We didn't get to see Obi until the fourth quarter, but the fact that he was able to stick with Obi for the remaining portion of the game was definitely something that I was thrilled to see, especially with the way Obi played. We give Obi, a lot of flack for not being a great rebounder, but he had some great rebounds in some key moments, especially some offensive rebounds, the way he was able to crash the board, battle, and also some of the ones that he got out there on the perimeter. He was able to track down, hustle, get to, and definitely secure those rebounds. So for Obi, you love to see it offensively. Being part of the making good decisions, knocked down a 3-2, if I'm not mistaken. So that's definitely something that you like to see from him, seeing some confidence there. So I'm thrilled with the way Obi has been played in this game.
Absolutely. That one possession where he got the rebound and kept his dribble and made it all the way back, dribble, and then he went to the hole and scored. Yeah, well, that's development. So, yeah, Randall didn't have it. And Obi came in and gave us vital minutes. And when you have that, and plus you have the two dogs, JB and Josh, our Villanova boys, holding down the fort. And Mitch had a monster game, man.
He was a beast. Mitch is my guy, man. So I'm thrilled to see him go out there and play the way he's been playing in this series. Definitely been key in the Knicks' success. And you also got to give credit to Hart as the backup big. I think if you look at this series, you could make the argument that the Knicks have the two best performing bigs in this series because, when Mitchell Robinson sits down, Ihart is still giving you some solid rim protection. He's got the ability to draw, the defenders out a little bit because he can knock down that little floater. And, you really like to see how he's been flowing, especially with that second unit. So you got to love what the big guys on the squad have been doing, especially matched up against a formidable duo in Jared Allen and, Mobley.
Yeah, when Mitch, I think I woke up my neighborhood if they were sleeping. I screamed so loud when he grabbed that ball on that lob and put it in and the foul. Yo, that was like spectacular.
Tough, yeah. You gotta love the ability to, make those type of plays because there's only a few centers in the league that have the ability to do that, score through the contact, and be that type of dangerous center once he's under the paint. So with Mitch, love to see the development. Love to see him be as big of a force because Mitch coming into the season, he was off a fresh new contract. We wanted to see if he could perform to that contract, and with the way he's performing in this playoffs, you definitely say you look at that contract that he signed as a plus.
Yeah. The only thing that upset me in the game greatly was the NBA needs to fire Scott Foster, that referee. If anybody doesn't know who Scott Foster is, he's had, I think, like a 9-year feud with CP.
Yeah.
And his calls, from early in the game onward, I was like, this guy, it's not a bad game. This guy needs to be the hell out of the league, man. Bad call after. I'm like saying, I said to my wife, like, this guy's definitely getting paid by the Cavs, man. He is doing everything he can to hurt and also not calls. One play, Donovan bumped into JB. I'm like, that was a foul. Why aren't you calling it fair, man? So can't stand that guy, and he should be reprimanded. They're supposed to review every game. That has to be one of the worst refereed games by anyone. So Scott Foster, enemy number one, even though we won the game, man, that dude, these guys play all year. Referees shouldn't impact games, and thank God he didn't.
Yeah, it was a little bit uneven when it comes to the ref, and it felt like sometimes they were really letting them play. And then there were moments in the game where they were calling some ticky-tack fouls, and I'm like, if this is a foul, how was the play a couple plays ago not considered a foul? So it was a little uneven, but luckily the Knicks didn't let that mess up what they had going for them, especially in that fourth quarter when they were able to put their foot on the pedal. We got a super chat from Jay. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate the support. He says, y'all need to apologize to Tibbs and Fox to RJ. I don't think we have to apologize to Tibbs. We were formulating our decisions based on what Tibbs was doing at the present time. And we've said what adjustments Tom Thibodeau needed to make, and he's making a lot of those adjustments. So to see the team be successful now when he's, starting to implement some of the things that we were asking for, I don't think, we need to apologize for that. I think we've viewed and discussed Tom Thibodeau in a pretty fair way.
Yeah, with all the things that we could talk about with us being up 3-1 and fabulous win at Madison Square Garden and the fans, Jay, that's all you come up with, man? I don't know. But, hey, I'm going to let it get me down. Let's just go forward. Great thing. But just shout out to others. I see our brother George from Into the Knicks First. Had a great time with him the other night with a post game up to like 1 o'clock or so, way past my bedtime, but celebrating that win. So shout out to our guy George and the wonderful John Talento, the legendary John Talento, the greatest, one of the great mods of all time, Lex the Destroyer. Who would you like to call out?
You took everybody from me, Foxy.
Nah, there's several. I see like 3 or 4 that you can call out. If you know it, I can call them out for you.
They kicked me out of the chat just now. I got to jump back in. All right, we got Kaiser Soze. Thank you for tuning in. Lex, you mentioned. JJ, had to give you the wrench mob. Thank you for all your support of the channel. So,
and we heard you, John Talento, last week, so we wanted to give JJ that present this week, and God knows he's earned it.
Yep, hit him up. Thank you all for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. And, going off that super chat, Foxy, let's talk about RJ a little bit. RJ has definitely been shaping into gear these last 2 games, and he really took off today. He was 9 of 18 from the field, had 26 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. And what were some of the things you was able to see from RJ out there on the court today?
It's what Tibbs has been preaching all along. Be aggressive to the hole, man. Get to the hole, and he was. And you go in either hand and using, whether on switches, whether it was Donovan and or Garland using that big size of his. So, yeah, man, he came up huge for us. And other than his foul shooting, that I was like worrying that they were going to make a run at the end of the game. And unfortunately, we couldn't watch Clyde on MSG, so we had to listen to Jeff Van Gundy and stuff, but he was right. That foul shots come back to haunt you. And folks, it was a huge win, but it was a really ugly win. We shot 27% from three, 64% from the foul line, had 15 assists for the game. That's not really winning basketball statistically, but hell with it. We won, and that's all that counts. We're up 3-1.
Yeah, we still haven't had that game where we've had, guys just break out.
Everyone clicking, yeah.
Exactly, and everybody being super efficient from the field. So that's to me, that's encouraging, because once we start clicking, we're going to be even more deadly out there on the court. So we've got 3 wins where we really haven't played our best basketball. So hopefully, in Cleveland, we can start to play that brand of basketball, and we can, hopefully carry that on into potentially the next series. So yeah, I was a big fan of what RJ was able to do out there. There was one play where he was driving right, he got into the body of the defender, and he had that nice little fadeaway baseline. And to me, that was beautiful, beautiful play from RJ. So to see him being able to get into his bag like that, and we've been saying he hasn't really been able to attack teams in the mid range. So for him to be able to knock that down, I think that's definitely key.
Yeah, and who did I say last Sunday I was expecting a bounce back from?
RJ Barrett, and he's definitely holding up to that.
Did you hear that, Jay? I said that last week. I was 1 game off, but the last 2 games, RJ's come back, and like I said, RJ's too good of a player to play that poorly. But now we're really overdue for IQ.
Yeah, but IQ, at least when he's out there, he's playing terrific defense. So you can live with it a little bit, especially when you're still winning games. As long as IQ is out there playing solid defense, making the right plays, and he's not turning the ball over like crazy, you'll be okay with him not necessarily being a spark plug offensively, especially when you got other guys cooking like RJ or, Josh Hart. So as long as those guys are picking up the slack and being good, Robbins to Jalen Brunson's Batman, I really don't have too much of an issue of Quick not really getting it going. However, if we want to, be legitimate contenders during this playoff run, we need him to start shaping into gear at some point, because this team definitely needs Emmanuel Quickley firing on all cylinders if we want to go as deep as some people may believe we can go.
Yeah, and we don't know about Grimes. And it just, again, goes back, folks. We won a game where Randle came up 0. IQ played great D, but his offensive game wasn't there. Grimes was on the sidelines with his arm in a sling, and we still beat this team.
Yeah, shows you how deep we are. I think that's one of our biggest assets. I mean, even when you go down to a guy like Deuce, you put Deuce in, we don't dip at all defensively. And, Deuce, you look at Deuce's stats. He was 1 of 1, knocked down the only shot he took, which was a 3. And if he can go out there and be a pest to Donovan Mitchell, and when asked to knock down an open 3, I think Tibbs has more than enough trust within him to deploy him in these situations. And, we had the super chat earlier saying that we should apologize to Tibbs. We've been saying this for the last 2 seasons. Find situations where you can use Deuce in pockets, in spurts, to disrupt the opposing team's best perimeter ball handler. And we're seeing that come to fruition here in the playoffs. And him knocking down that 3 is just icing on the cake. So you love to see that from a guy like Deuce.
You said it, I said it, our brother George said it, and also statistically, that Deuce has really good stats against, Cleveland. So we were saying that last Sunday show and stuff like that. He should absolutely give some minutes, like end of quarters and stuff like that. Rest JB, bring in Deuce, and he's going to be phenomenal on defense. And if he hits a shot and everything, then it's gravy. And that was exactly what happened. So, hey, we're not patting ourselves on the back, but so many of the things where people said we were haters, once, putting the kids in, playing this person, playing that person, getting rid of Cam Reddish, that everything came to fruition when they did everything that we said they should be doing.
Well, I got to be guilty on the Cam Reddish one. I'm a Cam Reddish supporter. Still holding out hope. Still holding out hope. Hey,
I wish for a Cam, but we've seen the impact of a winning player like Josh.
Yep.
And that Cam, I wish he has a real fruitful career, but Josh does the little things that teams and coaches and fans, like, I love this guy, and hitting big shots, man. It's like you're not expecting to hit those threes, and he's been doing that and hitting foul shots. And although he's been a little lamped up on the turnover side, Yo, he's playing tough. And also, shout out to Van Gundy. There was a couple of shots Donovan Mitchell made and others. Josh could not play any better defense than he was playing. It's just what the NBA is, that you can play the best defense and these guys will still drain it, man.
Yeah, and even playing tough defense, he really made life difficult for Spida. Spida was 5 of 18 from the field. That's 27.8%. He had 11 points in the game, and he didn't score in the second half until late in that fourth quarter. So the Knicks really, I think, deployed a good game plan, trying to keep the ball out of his hands. And when they weren't able to do that, Josh Hart played some solid man-to-man defense and definitely made Donovan Mitchell work to get to his spots. And when he wasn't out there, like we mentioned earlier, Deuce, there was one moment he cheated off of Okoro, which was a big game plan for the Knicks defensively. Let Isaac Okoro beat us. And in that sequence, Deuce left him in the corner to come over, and he was able to take a charge, and, that's a turnover on the Cavs. And then very next possession, he knocked down a three. So I think the Knicks, what we did against, Donovan Mitchell, we did do a great job defending him individually and also with the defensive scheme as a team.
Yeah, the doubles, man. Josh and all of a sudden Quickley would cheat on his guy and come over real quick, and you have him on both sides. And it was like, wow, they're playing some wonderful defense here, man.
Yeah. So how did you feel about that? The way we played defense when Okoro was out there on the court, because there were some instances in the first half where he was able to burn us, knock down a three in the first half, and there were also two plays where he was able to drive, get into the paint, and score. So I was really interested to see how the Cavs would adjust and see if Okoro was going to be able to come and knock down some threes and make us have to adjust. Fortunately for us, he didn't have to. He didn't do it. Luckily.
Hey, we said it last Sunday and stuff like that we'll take Okoro shooting all day, all night. That's a great thing. He's not a 3-point shooter. He was 1-5 today. And like you said, he made a couple of shots, but a couple of the plays, I think one was on Randle. It was unacceptable. You should not allow, when you're that big, allow a guy go baseline on you and stuff like that. So he's an NBA player. He made a nice play, but, and obviously he's a very good defender. That's what he's there for. But yeah, they can't put up points. And then they have a backcourt that's supposed to be explosive, and this team can't score points.
Yeah, and they had me nervous, like, once again, in that third quarter when Garland went off, but they kind of moved away from that pick and roll, getting Garland and forcing Jalen Brunson to defend. And whenever they get away from that, like you said, they have real difficulties trying to put some points up. And, when LeVert, when he's not out there firing on all cylinders, they really don't have anybody outside of, Donovan and Garland that can go out there and create their own offense. Allen can, post up a little bit, but that's not something you can really build an offense around. He normally eats somebody, pretty similar to Mitch whenever they find him, as opposed to him going out there and creating for himself play after play. He's not necessarily an Embiid type or anything like that. Same thing with Mobley.
Yeah, I was laughing because a couple of games I said, damn, I think Jarrett Allen's been watching Isaiah Hartenstein. He's copying his floater with his left hand. He looked just like Hart's floater.
Yeah, so speaking of Jarrett Allen, they're playing that poor man to death. He's out there for 40 minutes, 7-11 from the field, 63.6% from the field, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, and he was minus 11 out there. You look at that Gaudy number, only had 4 rebounds. That's what your bigs look like when you got somebody like Mitchell Robinson out there being a black hole and stealing all the rebounds. Especially
those zero block shots.
Mm-hmm. And 0 block shots. You got his shot blocked too. Didn't Hart get him? I believe it was Quick came over, did a solid job forcing him to go up in an awkward manner. And I think Hart came over and swatted him. It was either him or Mobley, one of the bigs.
Yeah, and he had 2 blocks today, Hart. So his stupid fouls could drive you crazy. Like, why did you do that? Come on. But the other plays, man, hell, man. Big plays on Okoro on a block and like you said, on Allen.
Yeah, that block at the rim on Okoro was definitely a momentum changer,
Huge. Like you said, that third quarter, all of us were saying Hail Mary full of grace, and like, oh no, let's do this. So they came back for one, they took the lead, but it was short lived, a couple of times back and forth, and then the Knicks just took over and it was over, man.
Yeah, they were
I don't
up
know how
at
much I think their will may be gone, man.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what the percentages say. 95% of teams with a 3-1 lead end up winning the series, and there's still that 5%. So you can't say it's impossible or something that they can't do. But the players know what the numbers are, and they know how difficult it'll be to not only win 3 games in a row, but to win a game in the Garden, something that they've struggled the last two. So you know, I know they're over right now. I think it's a little bit stressful for them. We'll see how they rebound. Once again, they're a solid team. They're where they are for a reason. But I think the Knicks, if you look at our depth and the way we're set up, we're an extremely difficult matchup for them, being able to neutralize some of those twin towers with a guy like Mitch, who's going to force them to battle down there in the paint.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, we beat them there. So the Knicks saying, hey, we're up 3-1 and we already beat them at home. So we're not intimidated about going there. We have the momentum and we have guys that we said we're winning with guys they're not even playing like they did during the season. We're not asking them to play above that, but they're playing really below their game and we're still beating this team. So Donovan, congratulations. You officially have made the Utah Cavaliers or the Cleveland Jazz, any way you want to call it. But that during the season you light it up and then you go home after one round.
Yeah. So Foxy, if you were the Cavs coach, what would you do what adjustments would you make to try and get the team back into the series?
I don't know. It's a great question, but just meaning I think that Donovan will have a very good bounce back game the next time. He's going to be lit. He's going to have the Cleveland fans. I think Garland will play well, but after those two guys, can you really rely on LeVert being consistent? See, Jitty Osman. Where else after that? Mobley, number 3 pick. What 13 points today did he have? He had 12 points, and the game before that he had 10 points, and then he had 13 in the first. So he's not playing at any level that we were expecting him to play. Obviously, on defense, he's what we've talked about is defensive player of the year candidate. So, but yeah, I don't know where. They could light it up that backcourt, but after that, like you just talked about, Allen, where else is what else is going to? Okoro can't shoot. Where is it going to come from? So I think we're in a really good position because of you said it earlier, my friend, that depth. That if this one's not doing it, and also Deuce, I want if they start going off, bring Deuce in, man. I think he's a stopper that way.
Yeah, I think if I'm the Cavs coach, I got to figure out a way to contain Jalen Brunson. You saw in game 2, they've guarded him a lot differently than they've guarded him in the other 3 games. And I would try to get back to that. See if you can, try and force the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands. And instead of letting guys like RJ, get into the paint, Josh Hart get into the paint, force us to knock down shots. I mean,
back that paint, yeah. Make us shoot. We shot like shit the whole series so far.
Yeah, I mean, you look what we shot in the last game, 27.6% from 3. We still haven't found that Nick or the knack, as Clyde would say, from deep. So if I'm the Cavs, that's what I would try to do: force Jalen Brunson to get the ball out of his hands, and then try and force the Knicks to make a shot. Because right now that's one area of our game where we've really struggled. If we're able to get into the paint, if we're able to get offensive rebounds, we can manufacture points that way. But when it comes to knocking down perimeter shots, it's really still been an Achilles heel for the Knicks in our offense.
Yeah, and that was one stat, the points in the paint that we lost today, 52-50. But that's usually something that Tibbs focus on. But you're right. We said coming in here that the strategy from around the league is to throw length at JB, throw doubles at Randle, and pack the paint and make us shoot. So Randle hasn't been much of anything, and they have doubled Brunson, but I think you nailed it. The one thing you have to do is pack that paint and make us shoot and make us beat them by shooting and not getting to the hole.
Now, if you were Tom Thibodeau and you wanted to put the team in a scenario where we don't have to come back from Cleveland and play a game 6 in the Garden, we want to go put our foot on their necks and get a victory, what adjustments would you make as Tibbs based on what you've seen in this game?
Just do as much as you can. Garland is an elite offensive player, so those guys are going to get it when they want it. So, like we said, I think they could both score, 25 points each in the next game, and we'll beat them. And we still could beat them, and we'll beat them. So I don't know the adjustments that the only adjustments is what happened today. I thought Obi could have came in earlier. Keith and I said early that it's to such a level now that from a body language standpoint, looking at Randle, I knew 2 minutes in, Keith and I call it bad Randle, that, oh no, I don't like his body language. This is not going to be a good game for Julius. And if I could see that, the SV Nation could see that, Keith and, our buddies could see that early on, get the hook. So I was so proud of him for making that decision today and just put that line in the sand that this is not last year, that nepotism. I'm not going to, you don't have it. I'm 65 years old. I want to win a playoff series and I want to go into the next round. And what the hell's happening with Giannis is back and Miami? We could take those teams, man. We could, let's finish up our business here. We're not looking ahead. Let's finish up here. But we should not be intimidated about our next opponent. No way, no how. So let's just play tough defense. Like I always say, the 3 things I say is play tough, play smart, play team. Do what's best for the team. That's why with Josh there, I just love it. And unfortunately, like I said, 15 assists is a really, really ugly stat for a game, but we're winning.
Yeah, we're finding ways to get it done. Now, if I was Tibbs and I was trying to make some adjustments heading forward, I would say, we got to try and find a way to get Julius Randle going, especially if we want to have a deep playoff run. Because imagine what this team would look like if we had Brunson going and we had Randle going and then we had these last 2 games with RJ Barrett going. I mean, as a fan, I feel like this team is unbeatable if we have all 3 of those guys cooking, especially when you start to look at the landscape around, the rest of the league. So I'll try to see if we can stop going so ISO heavy with Julius Randle. I think when he's guarded by Evan Mobley, he really hasn't seen too much success trying to take him one-on-one. So I see if we can get him involved a little bit in, the pick and roll, get him rolling to the basket, see if he can create some contact, get some fouls, get to the line, and start to get into the swing of things. The same way we've been able to get RJ going and get him into a groove. I think it'd be very important for this team in this playoff run to try and get Julius Randle back into the flow of things, especially seeing that he's still a little bit rusty coming off that long layoff with the ankle.
Yeah, I respect the rustiness on that, but his effort on defense, some of the, second game bouncing the ball off his foot, he just gets that real, like deer in the headlights look in his eyes when bad Randle's is there. So, yeah, I'd get him there, but I'd have a short leash that it becomes so just jumps off the screen when you watch Obi and you watch Randle. You throw the ball to Obi, either he puts up that 3, 1-2 dribbles, throw passes. You throw the ball with Randle, dribble, 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 makes a fake. Oh God, I can't get it over Mobley. Kick it out, and now the guy has 4 seconds left on the shot clock to make a shot. Over and over again. That anytime he touches the ball, it becomes ISO, and he just, I've used the term before, rhythm vampire. So he just kills the rhythm of the team. So, and we talked about his mix of putting up. My issue with him is that he's a tough dude. go for the shot. He has a shot, and then his confidence loses, and then instead of shooting, he makes a fake, and then he loses all confidence. He makes the second fake, and then he's like, I can't get it over Mobley or Allen. I got to kick it out. Go with that first shot. Go up with it. Go hard to the hole, like you said, get fouled. And like you said, one of the strategies, and it happened today, folks, we fouled out Mobley.
Yep.
Come on, go at him. Foul out Mobley. Go at Donovan Mitchell. Go at Garland. We got 3 guys now that is really the focus at him. Go at them. That should be the strategy. Get them in foul trouble, and then, like you said, put our foot on their neck and take them out of their misery.
Yes, sir. In gentlemanly fashion, too, with a nice gentleman sweep.
No, as we say in Apocalypse Now, with extreme prejudice.
Also, I saw a chat, someone saying that we got to get IQ going as well. Let me see if I can find it. You see it, Foxy?
No. Let me look.
John Talento, there we go. He says IQ too. Yeah, we got to get IQ going as well, especially with Quentin Grimes going down. Quentin Grimes going down and now elevates Josh Hart. Yes, he'll play some extended minutes, so he'll still overlap with that second unit. But we really need Quick as a spark plug now more than ever with the elevation of Josh Hart into that starting lineup. And we've seen it defensively. Now we need to see it offensively. And we know Emmanuel Quickley is a completely different player once he's got that confidence flowing and he's doing his dances and he's doing his celebrations out there on the court after making some spectacular plays. And if we start to see that come playoff time, I think it really elevates the ceiling of what this team could be. So if he's able to start to percolate, as Clyde would say it in Cleveland, that's definitely something that the Knicks should try to game plan to see if we can get him some easy looks. Maybe get him matched up on Donovan and see if he can cook when they're out there matched up on the court together.
Yeah, and one of the ways is he took 10 shots in the last 2 games. He took only, 4 shots today? He took only 4 shots today. It's hard to get into a rhythm. So, and he's used to taking a lot more shots than that. So, and he had some good looks today. They just didn't go in. And because of those twin towers in there, where he's used to breaking down and getting that little shot we've seen in the paint now, that little mid range that goes in, he's kicking it out because he's intimidated there. So, hey, I think it's, first, even though it's his second playoff series, but first, where he's being relied on, hopefully, like you said, he's still a plus on the plus minus side. Van Gundy called out his excellent defense also. So he's doing some other things, but, he's got to make those shots, even his foul shooting, which, was always the last couple of years is no, he's going to be like a 90% foul shooter. I got my fingers crossed all of a sudden, like, man, he's even missing foul shots. Yeah. So it's a confidence thing. Like you said, let him drain a few and go from there. I think he's afraid. I think he's a little afraid that he's going to, ruin everything. Like I said, only 4 shots and only 6 last game. He's not putting up the ball. He's throwing it over to Brunson.
It's a little too tentative. We want to see him a little bit more aggressive, especially looking for a shot. Still debate whether or not he's a point guard, but I think Quick is always at his best when he has an eye to score and then makes a good decision off of that. So.
Yeah, but his defense again on Donovan. Hey, we won a game with him, the last couple of games with him being subpar on one side, but being phenomenal on the other side. The other day, what was he, a plus 27 the other day? Mm-hmm. So he didn't have his offensive game, but that just shows, and again, to Tibbs, areas that if you can't do it on one way of the floor, do it on the other side, do other things that make you valuable. And he's doing that, like we saw visually on those doubles on Donovan, making him uncomfortable and somebody having to take a shot late in the shot clock.
Yeah, you've got to find ways to contribute to some winning basketball. And that's one thing, even when Quick isn't, knocking down the shots offensively, still find ways to do it. Because you said plus minus he was 11, which tied for most on the team with Obi Toppin.
Yeah. I shout out to Trish D. Hope all is well with you and your family. He said, Foxy, the entire team needs to go to foul shooting camp. The amount of points left at the line is disgraceful. Preach, my friend. You've heard us keep saying that was one of the key things that, we're beating a team Cleveland is not showing any heart, and they played one game tough and then soft the rest of the games. But yeah, whether it's us commenting on Mitch Robinson, it's like, hey, we've seen a lot of bigs from Shaq to others that are terrible foul shooters, but at least attempt having a little, as Clyde says, rims don't like line drives. It's not going to be friendly. If you have a little arc on the ball, with a bounce and be a little friendly to you. So yeah, man, we need to, as we get further in the playoffs, those foul shots will come back to haunt us. And come on, RJ. RJ had a great game, but he didn't hit a three again. What was he, 0 for 6 today? He was 0 for 6 today, RJ, and no assist or 1 assist and 2 rebounds. So he really didn't do other things on the court, although he played some nice D. I have to give him credit there. But, yeah, so everybody, just do with Josh Hart. Just put your heart out there. Leave it on the court. That's all we ask as New York fans.
And speaking of Josh Hart, I want to go on screen and play a video by JB Bickerstaff where he gives his thoughts on Hart and his contributions to winning basketball.
I think what he does is at an elite level is he impacts winning. And I think however he does it, he figures out a way to help his teams. And, some nights it's taking charges, some nights it's making shots. Like back in game 1, he hits the big pull-up 3 for him. Like he just has a way of impacting a game in a positive way for his team. So that's a credit to him as a player. But what you have to do is you have to make it as difficult as you can and understand, where he hurts you the most. He's going to crash the boards and give him extra opportunities. So you got to put a body on him to keep him off the glass. He's going to be pushing the ball in transition. So you need to take care of the ball first, and then you need to make sure you're back and showing him bodies and those types of things so that you can limit, the way he impacts the game on a statistical basis, because the intangibles, he's going to typically do those things. So, if you can keep him out of the stat sheet, I think that's the way you impact him most.
All right, so you heard from the opposing coach, him talking about how Josh Hart just finds a way to make plays and contributes to winning basketball. It might not be the same way every single game, but Josh Hart, due to his hustle and high IQ, is able to contribute as almost like a Swiss Army knife. He can do a little bit of anything. He can grab the rebound. He can push the ball up the court. He can pass. He can knock down layups. Anytime I see Josh Hart go for a layup, for the most part, I'm pretty confident that that's going in. Very rarely do you see Josh Hart miss, an open layup, regardless of.
And if he does, usually he goes to the line.
Exactly. He either goes to the line or, somebody else gets an offensive rebound and they're able to put it up based on the attention that Josh Hart was able to draw, or him pushing the pace and not allowing opposing teams to get back in position. So, Foxy, since Hart has been introduced to this team, do you think that one, he'd be as big of a impact, or he'd have as big of an impact as he's had so far in this season and in this playoffs?
No, I'd be lying. I knew he was a really solid player. I knew statistically from everywhere he was that whether in Portland on a bad team, he was, his on-court, off-court were phenomenal. I knew he was one of the best rebounding guys in the league at 6'6" or under. Those things I knew, but I didn't realize, and I've said this before, you've heard me say is, when you saw the reaction of Brunson when he found out the news that Josh was coming here, it wasn't just like, oh, my buddy's coming here. It was like, no, now I could go to war. I got a warrior coming here. You don't know who this guy's like, man. He's a game changer. And I think you said it, I think in the first game, RJ dived for a ball. He was watching Josh and it's like, man, this thing's contagious, man. I gotta put it out. I gotta be diving for balls like this guy, or this guy may be taking minutes from me. Mm-hmm. So he's had a profound impact. His unbelievable offensive rebounds he's come up, his steals, and just his toughness. Hey, you heard me. I'm old school, so the Oakleys, the Mace, I love nasty. When I look at as a talent evaluator at draft and guys like that, and I mentioned that Mobley was a 3 pick, and you can't teach 7 foot, 7'4" wingspan, 44-inch vertical. But it didn't, the one thing I wrote down, it didn't have nasty. And that doesn't mean anything, but skinny guys, when I look at skinny guys, Kevin Garnett was skinny, but man, he had nasty. So Josh, that attitude and intensity, that's a winning attitude, man. He plays every possession like it's the last possession of a game, and that's a coach's dream.
Yeah, I definitely didn't think he was going to be able to transform that second unit the way he has, and I didn't think he was going to be able to be such a seamless addition to the guys out there with that starting lineup when he plays with them, and as a closer. I knew he grabbed a lot of rebounds. I knew he could play solid defense, but some of the intangibles you're really only going to see when you're watching a guy play every other night for your own team. So he's definitely shocked me. It's going to be interesting to see what we do in terms of offering him a new contract. As you can see, he's a major glue guy, and how they value that financially, and how much money he'll count against the cap. That'll be a real interesting discussion, especially with Quick playing solid defensively, but not necessarily having that same impact we saw, especially towards the end of the season. Because those are two guys you fully expect the Knicks to either re-sign in Josh Hart's case or extend in Quickley's case. Also, go ahead.
No, please, you.
No, I was just gonna say we got a super chat from Taka Otsu. Says, what's the viable off-season move? I think this off-season you got to come to a decision. Who's the two main guys that you're going to continue to build around? Brunson is one of them, and in order to bring in another bona fide stud to place alongside him, you're either going to have to move RJ Barrett, or if Julius Randle continues to struggle for the entirety of this postseason, you may have to entertain maybe potentially moving him to get someone that can be a little bit more reliable, especially here in crunch time, especially with the way you've seen Julius Randle in his body language. And he kind of looks checked out almost, like, once the offensive struggles come, it's almost like it's a little bit too much for him to respond to.
Yeah, and it's like blatant. I stop, rewind, and like, geez, are you serious, Julius? In this type of playoff game, that was the effort that you put in on defense on that? You didn't even move. So, hey, we talked about it, that he's going to be probably third team All-NBA this year. So, flowers to Julius on the stats-wise. But like you said, New York City, and what the truth of it is, even if he was traded to a small market team, if there's a pressure moment, I don't know how Julius is going to react. I don't think he reacts well to pressure, whether big market, small market, and also the game. What I mentioned earlier, look at the ball movement when Julius is not in there. That ball dies when it hits his hands, and obviously 20 some odd points, 25 points, and 10 rebounds. That's super impressive, but there's a cost to the rhythm of the other players when you have his type of game. He didn't have the assists that he's had in the past. So I think his trade value is a whole lot bigger than this year than it was, thank the Lord, than last year. So I would absolutely, be open to moving Julius. That nothing against Julius other than his style of play is difficult. He's not, he had one great 3-point shooting season where he shot over 40, and then all the others, he's a touch under league average. So then you're like saying, all right, but then I want him to eat in the mid-range and stuff like that. And you saw him that against length and stuff like that. And we've seen him under the board. He's one of the few guys that are 6'9" that are challenged when he's under the basket. He gets his shot blocked all the time because he doesn't have that type of, he has explosion north-south, just not up and down. And, but I wouldn't give him away, obviously. And, just getting thank you again, Taka, for the super chat. But I think they just have to, like you said, take a step back. Brunson's here for 2 years before he has a player option. RJ is a young kid at 22. He's going into his 5th year. Hopefully he can bring some consistency. We talked about IQ as a keeper, even with this bad series with that defense. But they're gonna, like you said, they knew this was gonna come sooner or later. When you took a 4 with Obi, with Halliburton, and Devin Vassell on the draft board, and you went for a 4 when you already had Julius, they're gonna have to render a decision one way or the other, saying either Julius or Obi. And if it was Julius, as a fan, besides as just a fan, it's very difficult to cheer for somebody where you don't know who's going to show up from game to game.
Thanks. We got a super chat from Adele Chapman. Thank you for the support. It says, do you give Randle a pass due to injury? I wouldn't say I give him a pass, but I am understanding that it's going to take some time for him to round into shape. And, first 4 games of the series, you can understand it takes a little bit of time to get into your groove offensively. But what you can't, quote unquote, give a pass to is the lack of effort defensively. And we saw a lot of that in this game, especially in the first half. So, yes, his game might not be able, he might not be able to perform offensively at times because he's still a little rusty and still maybe dealing with that ankle injury. But defensively, you've got to be able to give your all, or you got to be able to give 100%, or you shouldn't be out there on the court. So offensively, I can understand, but defensively, you got to be locked in on defense. If you're healthy enough to be out there on the court, you're healthy enough to not be a liability out there.
Yeah, and what we've talked about with the other players, if your ankle's still impacting you, you're still a little rusty, doesn't mean you can't get assists. And you're still 6'9" and boxing out and stuff that, he had 1 assist and 2 rebounds in 27 minutes today. That's, I could deal with his shooting being off, but there was other elements of his game, and like, I don't think it's just Keith and I on play, several plays. You're just like saying, what angle were you taking, or what? There was one play where he literally was like glued to the ground and didn't make an effort, and the guy just went right past him, man, for the bucket. And you're like, come on, man, Julius. And I was already yelling, take him out. And a couple other people, my nephew and stuff like that. It was like, they got to put in Obi. Come on, Tibbs, get Randle out of there, man.
Yeah, I was shocked he played so long in the third because there was a lot of plays where I felt like he didn't give the best effort, and I was just wondering, like, all right, Tibbs, when are you gonna throw Obi out there, see if the team finds a spark, especially with the Cavs rallying the way they were, and luckily Tibbs went to Obi in the 4th, and stuck with him for the entirety of the game, and maybe since we saw some success in this game. Maybe that's not something that Tibbs is going to be too nervous to go to a little bit earlier. So maybe the Cavs don't go on that type of run to at least make it a little bit more competitive. Because think about it. If that were to happen in Cleveland and they were to get the momentum swung in their favor, they're going to have the Cleveland fans rocking. And maybe that type of energy would help push them past us in the 4th quarter. Luckily we had the crowd on our side in this game, and they were really, I think, instrumental, if you listen to what the players said, in helping us to rally and win in that 4th quarter. So, maybe Tibbs can make that adjustment a little bit sooner in Game 5.
Tell you one thing, Obi had 8 rebounds today, folks, and that's what we've been asking for in 20 minutes. And I think he had 5 in the 4th quarter. So that is, I think, all Tibbs has been asking for, that he plays, both sides of the thing, of the ball. And, so yeah, I think that if he sees a Randle with that same effort, or he's a weird guy, man, and it breaks your heart that he has all this talent, but you could see it in his eyes when he's good, and you could see it in his eyes when he's off. And hopefully he's going to be on the next game, but if not, the hook has to come, and Obi will be, he's a viable replacement.
Yep, and we also have some comments here we want to listen to from Tibbs speaking post-game. Just going to put that on screen.
Okay, Julius is our horse, and like he's given us everything that he has. A lot of guys probably wouldn't even be playing. So I knew that with the quick turnaround, probably impact him more than most players. He was out an extended amount of time. So we got multiple days here before the next game. He'll get a chance to get some recovery time, but I think that's a big part of it. So, but the thing I love about him is he gives you everything he has. So he's done that to come back the way he did, to be ready for game one. Credit to him, and we need him. He's our horse. We know that. Okay, Julius is our horse.
So it sounds like Julius Randle still dealing with the ankle injury. My question is, if you're saying most people wouldn't even be out there, why are you paying him so long in the third quarter? You think you'd break up his minutes out there on the court so he doesn't overexert himself, but it is what it is.
Is a perfunctory Tibbs answer that just said,
Tibbs just not trying to lose him. That's
exactly. I'm protecting my guy and everything else, but he's a blink under 4 turnovers for the playoffs. So with all the other things, always say, okay, you can't do something, then use your IQ and add to the team in other ways. And if you can't do it, hey, we saw Josh Hart with a sprained ankle and gritted it out and doing what's necessary for a team to win. And Randle's a weird guy. Like I said, when a team wins like that, but he doesn't play like that, his enthusiasm, you could just see it. He's smiling and stuff, but get me the hell out of here. So, strange guy, man.
Yeah, I mean, luckily we've been able to win without him performing well. And you just got to hope, right now, playing with house money, Brunson's the only guy that you can really look at game to game, and you're going to say, all right, I know I'm going to get some offensive production from him. Josh Hart, game to game, he's going to give you the hustle. He's going to give you the rebound. And Mitch, for the most part, is going to be solid there in the paint, get you some block shots, get you a bunch of rebounds, and, clean up anything that's around the rim. So with those three, I can feel confident, going into a game that somebody else not mentioned is going to be able to step up. And hopefully that's Julius Randle in game 5. And hopefully if he does, he's able to build upon it. But right now, I'm not too concerned about him about him, performing to the level that we saw in the regular season. Just because I got the utmost confidence in Brunson and confidence that somebody else, regardless of whether it's Randle or not, is going to be able to step up and be that Robin to Brunson when he's backpacking out there.
Yeah, and I'm hoping from this point on, RJ's consistency. We may not see, like we said, the assists that we like and stuff like that, but if he puts in 20 some odd points every game and more efficient than other games that he's played, plus Brunson, plus Josh, with our great defense, it'll be really good. Hey, we need Julius to play. We need him to play team basketball. No hero ball, no ISO ball, but I think that's all he knows is ISO ball. That's who he is.
Yep, and I just want to put on screen now the Knicks starters so far here in the playoffs. And as you can see, Brunson picked up right where he left off, averaging 24.3 points per game, shooting 45.7% from the field. The three-point shot really hasn't fallen as much as it has in the regular season. And we mentioned it. The three-point shooting has definitely been a struggle for the Knicks so far in the playoffs. But, I expect that to change, especially from a guy like Jalen Brunson. You saw he was able to knock down a few three-point shots in the game today. He was 5 of 9 from 3-point, 55.6% from the three-point line. So he's starting to, figure out, find his range from the three. You just hope RJ, you can see he's only shooting 20% from the three-point line. He's definitely got to pick that up. And Julius Randle shooting 25.8% from the three-point line. I think the more egregious number for Randle is the 32.3% that he's shooting from the field. You can live with the poor 3-point shooting if he was shooting somewhere like 50 some odd percent, high 40 some odd percent from the field, but you can't be shooting 25.8% from three and also shooting 32.3% from the field, man. Something got to give, and hopefully, he'll be able to turn things around.
And this is up to date stats, folks. So after 4 games, that's unacceptable. And 64% from the line, man. So he's an equal opportunity offender from everywhere, the floor, from 3-point, and from the foul line. And but also getting back to Brunson, that hand injury, and besides his other maladies that he had with his ankle and his foot and everything else, at the end of the season, I think it threw off his rhythm too. So that 28%, I think, is indicative of his rhythm. He's still in the midst of trying to get back his rhythm.
True. That's really why we see a dip in the 3-point shooting. And I did think there was a moment he even shook the hand. So it seems like it's still bothering him a little bit. But as he said at the start of the series, he can do everything he needs to do out there on the court. So hopefully now, as he's starting to feel better, that 3-point percentage will come up.
Yeah, look at that foul shooting now.
Yeah, 94.1%.
Can't ask any more than that, man.
Facts. And you look at Mitchell Robinson, 6.8 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game, shooting 63.2% from the field. The free throw shooting, Mitch, got to work on it, 42.9% from the free throw line. And I even saw on Cavs Reddit where they're saying they should start employing Hacker Mitch. See if they can start putting him on the line so we're forced to take him out the game.
And the problem is, I guess he's 20 points better, Hart, but him at the foul line scares the hell out of you too.
Facts. But the thing is, you can't just start throwing fouls at Mitchell Robinson because, like we mentioned throughout the series, the Cavs don't have much depth. So they don't have the ability to just throw out fouls and start to get some of their guys in foul trouble because, once you take one of those main pieces off the court, there's a massive downgrade. It's not like the Knicks where you can put out a guy like Deuce and the defense really doesn't take much of a dip, if any, than, as opposed to a guy like Quick out there or a guy like, Josh Hart. The offense, on front, it'll take a dip a little bit. But if Deuce is able to knock down his open looks like he was able to do today, we still, I think, are in a pretty good position if we were to swap out him for another player.
Yeah. I've always thought Robin Lopez is good for 6 fouls a game.
I don't want Robin Lopez out there trying to foul people because he'll give you a little dirty one. No,
Word.
Even some people even complaining where he's sitting out there over on the bench, fearing that players might fall or trip over him and hurt themselves.
Yeah, so maybe Mitchell could work with Trish D and Kaiser Soze in the offseason on his foul shooting. I can't, it can only get better.
Kaiser Soze 718 says we should play Sims at least 10 minutes to save fouls on Mitch. The thing is,
shoulder
Sims
injury
is hurt with a shoulder injury. I wonder what's the deal with that. Did he get injured working out in between games? Did he get injured at practice? Because it's not like he was getting minutes. So where did he hurt himself?
Yeah, he has a right sore shoulder. So, it must have happened in practice, obviously.
Yeah, that threw me off. I was like, what's going on?
Either that or he's moving new furniture into his girlfriend's house.
I don't know what's going on with the Knicks right now and the young guys with shoulder injuries. Well, we'll talk about Grimes a little bit later.
Yeah. And you and I using our football acumen.
Yep. Here we go with the Knicks bench stats. You can see Emmanuel Quickley, all red offensively, just hasn't found a groove so far this series. But, like the thumbnail says, don't stop believing. We got belief that Quickley will turn it around offensively, and he'll continue to give us some solid defense. His help defense, I think, has been phenomenal this series. And, he's been able to cause a lot of confusion and been able to disrupt the Cavs when they're trying to run their offense. You see a lot of times the Cavs aren't even able to get into their sets until there's 7 seconds left on the shot clock, and they're forced to put up a bad shot. And a lot of that can be, given to Quickley and how he's been able to play defense out there. So, the offense will come, but as long as he's playing solid defense, he'll continue to be a key part of this rotation. You look at Josh Hart, he's averaging 13.5 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game while shooting 60% from the field, and a scorching 55.6% from the three-point line, and also shooting 77.8% from the charity stripe. So you can see it. Josh Hart has been
clutch.
He's been a big piece of our success in this series, and he's been a big piece for this squad ever since he was traded, right around the trade deadline. So the gift that keeps on giving.
Those turnovers, I think, was just him being amped up and, trying to do too much, but he's so valuable. And like you said, hey, I would have lost a lot of money if somebody said, what do you think, not only during the regular season since he came to the Knicks, but now that he be shooting the three the way he is.
Facts. Because that, once again, that was one of the big concerns. Would he be able to knock down the three at a good enough clip that you can have him out there for extended periods, for extended minutes? And he's been shooting over 50% from three since he's got here, if I'm not mistaken, right? And
exactly.
At some periods, close to over 60%. And, you look at the field goal percentage, 60% from the field. Like I say, when I see Josh Hart go for a layup, I'm pretty confident that it's going to go in. Same can't be said about some other guys, especially with the way they've been struggling so far this series. But with Josh Hart, I look at him as a guaranteed bucket if he's able to get into the paint, whether that be in transition or off a drive, attacking closeouts.
Yeah, man, he's a keeper.
That's for sure. Also, Hart, we've mentioned him a few times here on the channel, but his contributions, you really can't say enough. 5 points per game. 6.3 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game. So, he's been dishing and getting good looks for his guys out there on the court. 1.3 turnovers. A lot of that is attributed to some of the ticky-tack fouls he picks up out there. So always something that he can work on. But, as of right now, it's not really been too detrimental to the team. Unlike Ricky Rubio. Every time they sub Ricky Rubio in, I think he's playing for us. Because the minute they sub that guy in, he's got a stupid foul, he's got a dumb turnover, and he's just looking at the refs just completely confused. I'm like, bro, you were stinking up the joint, but continue to play, because right now you got us playing 6-on-4.
He had a career game against the Knicks last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, like 30-some-odd points, something. He went
yeah, so I think he's still trying to have another one of those games, but
trying to reclaim some of the magic.
Another year on and more miles on those tires. I don't know how much Ricky has left.
Yeah, man, he'll be out of the league soon, or at least go back overseas or something like that.
I was about to say play over there. He'll be the next tutor for Rokas or something.
Maybe. A lot of the European guys that started over there, they end up finishing their career over there as well.
Thomas Satoransky went back over there, and a few other guys, like we said.
Gasol's over there, right, on a smaller circuit for a team he owns. So yeah, definitely something that could be in the cards.
Yeah, I'll say one thing about IQ that. His agent must be dying and saying every game you're having like that, you're losing millions. If you just played the way you played during the season, we were going to have like a $25 million a year. Like we said, you and I said, like an Anthony Simons 4-year, $100 million in that vicinity. Every game he has like this, he's losing money.
Well, I was a little bit nervous because they started talking about Maxey potentially getting a max deal, and I'm like, all right, pump your horses.
Not anymore.
Because, Quick views himself as a similar player to a Maxey. So if Maxey was getting max contract offers, imagine what Emmanuel Quickley would have wanted, seeing himself as a fairly comparable talent. And if we couldn't find, common ground, maybe he might have tried to explore the free agent market. But, he has been struggling a little bit. And, maybe the price has come down a bit.
But shout out to him coming in second. Again, I would have lost a lot of money if you said to me that at the beginning of the season, IQ will be second in 6th man of the year voting. I'm like, I like IQ, but come on, it's second in 6th man of the year voting. I don't know. And he had and we always watch on the young guys' development. So his development, and obviously Quentin Grimes, etc. But IQ's development on both sides of the ball has been exponential. So yeah, he's had a rough 4 games in this playoff series, but he had a splendid season, and congratulations to him. And just just needs a few balls to go in to get that confidence back in us, to get our IQ back.
Yep, and he said he's going to use that as motivation. So, you love to see him motivated quick. He definitely steps up when he feels like he has a point to prove. And a confident quick is one of the most deadliest scorers, I think. Not even scorers, all-around guys coming off the bench. So we need him to get his confidence back. We need to see him once again doing some of his theatrics out there on the court. Because when he's grooving, that second unit is hard to keep up with. And you look
differentiator.
At the big time, and you look at the Cavs, they really don't have anybody on their second unit that can really keep up with a guy like Emmanuel Quickley when it comes to going bucket for bucket. Especially now that they have elevated Levert into that starting lineup, and they've got a bench unit of who? Cedi Osman, Okoro, and Rubio. Pretty much, that's their bench unit. That's not getting you much. That's not getting you much done, especially come playoff time.
Danny Green is long in tooth.
Exactly. They're not even giving him too many minutes. I forgot he was out there on the court.
Yeah, he got a 3.5 today.
Yeah, right. I saw him get ready to check in, and after that, he completely checked out of my mind. Yeah, so Danny Green, he was out there for 3 minutes and 31 seconds, and he got a bunch of zeros, except for personal fouls. Yeah. And he was a -8.
I see a comment from my good friend Janine. Says, not IQ agent, but he's not adjusting to the Cavs double teams well, but he has time. Yep. The double teams and also the Twin Towers. Yep. When he gets in there. So the good news is, God willing, we win this series, and I don't think he's going to have that same issue on the next few teams we face.
It'd be interesting to see who we end up facing, but we can't get ahead of ourselves.
Let's win this one out. But we should have no intimidation, whether it's Milwaukee and or the Heat that we play, man.
Yes, sir. And this is a clip from Jalen Brunson talking about the team's mindset and not looking too far ahead. So let me put that on screen real quick. Let's see what he has to say.
Jalen and Josh, what's your message to the rest of your teammates in terms of being so close to moving on, but focusing on the task at hand?
Exactly that. It's not over. Not even close to being over. We gotta continue to just keep focusing on one day at a time. And there's nothing to celebrate. There's nothing to be truly happy about. So obviously we won tonight. We're one step closer, but we gotta continue to have that same mindset mentality and that we have over the past couple of games.
Jalen and Josh, what's your message to the rest of your teammates in terms?
And you love to hear that from Jalen Brunson, but I would like to let him know. So I understand why they have nothing to celebrate, but I'm going to do enough celebrating for all of us, because exactly. I'm not the one out there that's got to go with it. So I'll celebrate for everybody, and it's lit.
I was about to say, because Jalen talking about celebrating, he looks like my wino uncle on the Bowery with that outfit.
He already took the hair out. He's halfway at the celebration mode. Talk about not supposed to be celebrating. I understand, but you love to hear it. And as fans, like I don't act like I'm anything more than that. I'm just a fan up here chopping it up with my guy Stephen Fox and the chat talking some sports. I'm finna to celebrate because I'm feeling real good about this squad. We said it time and time again. Team has not played well, but here we are in position to have a gentleman's sweep in Cleveland. And if we have a game where, Julius Randle steps up or Emmanuel Quickley steps up or RJ Barrett can continue to build upon this performance, I can easily see us going into Cleveland and getting a win. It might not be, as emphatic as our other win in Cleveland, but I can see us definitely going out there and winning a hard-fought game.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I see. I just noticed. Thank you, Kaiser Soze. I watched the game last night with the Heat, and I felt terrible. Did you see Oladipo go down?
Yeah, that guy just has bad luck, man.
Yeah, and a lot of people forget he was an elite player, man. He was all NBA, great defensive player and everything. So injuries took its toll on him, but I didn't know what the severity, whether he blew his knee out, and he's definitely out. So
like Kaiser, even worse.
So Kaiser Soze said, they lost Tyler Hero with that broken hand, and now if they have Oladipo out of there, they're going to be going double time with Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, but they still have to get past the Bucks. The Bucks are still a formidable team even without Giannis. At least, going up against a team like the Heat that are already missing some key guys as well.
Yeah, they're showing, whether Middleton or whether Drew, who I adore, Drew, they look like, you can't fight Father Time, man. They're getting up there. You can't pull that rabbit out of the hat so many times. After a while, you get up in years, it takes its toll.
Yeah, it definitely takes its toll, but it remains to be seen. Have they given an update on Giannis and if he'll be returning?
Haven't heard a thing, but like you said, if Giannis comes back, everything changes immediately.
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear that comment by Van Gundy? I was shocked that he said that on the broadcast today. Somebody said to the effect that Mobley, I think Giannis said that Mobley can be great. Mm-hmm. And Van Gundy real quick said he'll never be as great as Giannis. Like, take it easy, kid. You'll never be in that level. So I was like, yo, Van Gundy, that was rude. Let the kid have a few years. I remember Giannis having a couple awkward years before he came into himself. But Van Gundy doesn't pull any punches, man, but he has something on his mind.
I mean, Mobley's got to bulk up because there's no way. There was a moment, I don't remember if it was in the first or the second quarter, where he was denied position in the post by Jalen Brunson. And I'm sitting here like, let's go. I mean, I know Jalen Brunson, has this lower base, so he's probably going to get, better position and try to hold his ground. But you as a big man should be able to move Jalen Brunson out of his spot, bro.
If Okoro could do it, I was hoping that a four could do it like Mobley.
It's crazy, man. He's definitely got a lot of skills, though, a lot of tools, but, it's going to take another year or two, I think, for him to fully realize his capabilities out there on the court.
I've seen a couple of our, favorite people in SV Nation pull up right now. So Drip Moore, I saw Buzzer Beater, hope all is well.
Also Buzzer,
Code D, and the one and only Geraldine McIver.
Also, quick shout out to Buzzer Beater. He had a super chat in the last stream that we were unable to get to. Want to apologize for that and appreciate all your contributions to the live stream.
I did answer him in the comments though.
Yep.
That his question was about clutch, and I just said that De'Aaron Fox is running away with it. So we love Brunson, but it's not his year to do that.
Fox is definitely doing his thing. So let's look ahead at the schedule. Make this a little bit bigger for me so you can see game 5 is on 4/26, 7 p.m. Can the Cleveland Cavaliers find a way to win a must-win game, an elimination game? Because now the Knicks have put them on the brink of elimination, and it's do or die. And they'll be home, they'll be able to feed off of that energy from the home crowd. And the Knicks, I think, at least there are going to be at least 2 or 3 moments where the Knicks, I believe, are going to have to withstand some adversity, and I'm going to be keen to see what we do. If we're going to be able to stand up like we did in the third quarter of this game and, fight back in the fourth to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Or, of course, we were willed by the crowd helping to keep us hype and keep us amped and help, take over the momentum. Let's see how we do it and how we perform in enemy battle. In enemy territory. I'm really keen on seeing how we respond once the Cavaliers come on, because I think they're going to come out and give us their all. Could be potentially the last game of their season. I don't think they're going to want to go home with any major regrets. So we should definitely see, I think, one of the best games from the Cavs this season. They'll
come out with that same mentality of game 2.
Game 2, yep.
Yeah, but they had all that energy in the gym on that first, in that arena in the first game, and the Knicks beat them. So that energy couldn't carry them to a victory. So it'll be interesting. But I think we're even a more dangerous team now because I think Obi believes in himself even more. So if Julius doesn't have it, and I think Tibbs all of a sudden has a different feeling that, what we've always said, you have to have your finger on the rhythm of the team. Who's playing well, who's a little off. You can't go to that template coaching. And so with Obi, the game he had today, the 8 rebounds and everything else, I think it makes us even more dangerous that he's going to say, no, let me go here and see what we got.
And just to look at what the team has been doing so far this postseason, you can see we're 14th in points at 98 points per game, 6th in rebounding at 44.8 rebounds per game, 17.5 assists per game puts it at 16th. Field goal percentage, we're down at 15th in the league. 3-point percentage, 27.5 is 15th as well. And the free throw percentage is at 74.5, which is 13th. So you can see offensively, it's been a struggle. So how good will this team look?
One game away from a gentleman's sweep.
Exactly. So once we start the click, man, you can definitely see this team go on potentially a Cinderella run. We just got to start grooving offensively.
Yep. And what was our boy Josh singing on that sideline? That was your motivation for that thumbnail?
Don't stop.
Stop believing.
We don't want to chase anybody off.
I think Daquan Jeffries was next to him when he started singing, and it was hysterical because he was as off tune as I am, and he was enjoying every second of it. Josh, Yep. He's so cool.
Yeah. Definitely a cool moment to see. Josh Hart needs to be mic'd up more often.
Yep.
Jonathan
He's real, man.
Knicks in 5. Let's go. KJ7 Full says Knicks in 5. I fully believe we can wrap this up in 5. We don't want them coming back to New York. No more free vacations.
It was a huge game for them, man. So for them to not come out for this type of game, like Keith and I were saying, especially Keith, about that third quarter, we were all saying, "Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs," but we held it together and beat them down, man.
Yes, sir. No more free business trips for them. Head back home, take that L, and it's 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Ship them out of here. Miguel P says, if we win this series, we'll be playing with house money. I don't know if I would say we'd be playing with house money because to me, they had to get out of the first round, and I still want them to be competitive in the second round. But I can see where you say, we're playing with house money, especially when you start to look at some of the injuries. The Bucks could be without Giannis. If the Heat, they're already out with without Hero, without Oladipo. I think at that point you really have to upgrade.
And Lowry's showing his age, so he's really been a non-factor.
Yeah, you really have to upgrade what your potential, what you thought the team was going to do in the postseason, especially seeing how the attrition has kind of taken out some of the key players for opposing teams.
Brunson led Dallas last year to the Western Conference Finals. Mm-hmm. 1 year later, I could see our guy leading the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep. Nick Yak says, lose Wednesday, then we have to win that home game. Otherwise, momentum will be with Cleveland, Game 7, big time. Facts. That's something you don't want to see. You don't want to go to Cleveland, lose in Cleveland, then have them come back, win in New York, because now if they're able to see that they can win in New York in hostile territory, gives them even more confidence in a Game 7 in Cleveland when, we'll be on the road. And, we really haven't seen too many guys other than Jalen Brunson really step up in an away game. We've seen RJ do it the last 2 games, but there's no guarantee he'll be able to do it in an elimination game on the road, Game 7, with the pressure at its highest. You know what I mean? I don't want to get there. I don't want to see how we perform. I have faith in us, but I'd rather not see it.
Yeah, look at that slide, folks. We got away with murder for 4 games, playing like shit, shooting like shit. So that'll bite us in the ass. We got to beat that. And last thing you ever want to do is guys like, if you remember a couple of years ago in the bubble with Donovan on Utah against Jamal Murray, with Garland, they're frightening if they got both of them are hitting all their shots. So yeah, let's take them out of their misery next game and let's not play any games.
Yep, we don't play without food out here.
Yeah, Let's be just serious.
So let's see what else we got going on in chat. KG7 Full says this series needs to end Wednesday. Fax says leave him in Cleveland. Cody says, man, Josh Hart was the icing on the cake. We really elevated to the next level with that trade. So glad RJ has found his spark. Yeah, I'm happy RJ has definitely picked it up. He's been a pretty polarizing figure. I mean, until this game, he was probably, I would say, the most polarizing Knick. You had a lot of people that were in RJ Barrett's corner who felt like he would be able to turn it around and figure things out. And you had others that felt like, RJ might not be able to do some of the things that we've seen in the last couple games. So luckily, he's been able to step it up, and hopefully he can build upon it.
Yeah, but the reality is he's still only shooting 41% from the field, 20% from three, and 72% from the foul line. So that, he's had 2 strong games, but you can't shoot from three like that. If he, having a bad series to me is shooting 33%, not 20%. And foul shooting, you know me, shooting guard and or a wing in this league, if you don't have 80, you're not shooting 80% from the foul line, I got an issue, man.
Yeah, definitely something he's got to pick up. You see those clanks from the free throw line. It's like, man, the shot is still broken because he's missing the threes. He's missing
some bunnies too.
Yeah, but you got to love the fact that even though with all those things going against him, he's still finding ways to be effective and contribute to basketball.
And like we said, you saw it in him today. He's like, yes, he had that energy in him. He had, Josh Hart and everything. He had that, toughness that, all right, battling back. And like we said, he's too good of a player. He's not a 20% shooter from three, folks. We've heard us being critical and stuff, but the only thing we never said RJ Barrett's not a good player. We just said he's not an all-star player.
And he could be potentially traded for a better player, which is reasonable. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to say.
Hey, it's about winning the chip.
Mm-hmm. And you got to make some tough decisions sometimes.
Yeah.
Also, just to look at some of the defense the Knicks have been playing. You can see Cavs' lowest scoring games this season, 79 points versus the Knicks and MSG, 81 points versus the Knicks at MSG, and then 93 points versus the Knicks at MSG. So we locked the Cavs up. This is nothing new. I think, and this is why the Cavs probably were fearing a matchup against us in the first round, knowing that, we're just not a good matchup for them. We defend as good as they defend, and we also have some offensive weapons that they just really can't neutralize, and one of them being Jalen Brunson. And they have nobody to throw out there that can match what Josh Hart is doing, the hustle he's providing, and things like that. So Cavs right now, man, they're nervous. I can see them come out and play great to start the game, and I can also see them coming out and kind of press a little bit and be a little bit nervous, and maybe the moment might be a little bit too big for them. So I'll be excited to see how they come out to start the game, and it'll let me know a lot more of what to expect.
I'm with you. And also, if they do lose, and again, we have a lot of basketball to go, but if the Cavs do lose, that GM may be called on the carpet, man, that you gave up all of this for a guy, with Donovan that was only 4 games better than the Knicks, and we're 1-out in the playoffs. What the hell did we give up Laurie and Colin Sexton and all these draft picks for?
Right, they gave us some major pieces, especially looking at what Laurie's been able to do.
Oh, my God, yeah. And if it wasn't for Laurie, we'd have the most improved player of the year in Jalen Brunson.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe SGA. Well, what else was this? What else? Who was the other person in the run?
I think, like you said, SGA, but SGA, to me, when you're, when he's fantastic. So when you go from 20 some odd points to like 30, he improved, but they're still going to be picking really low in the lottery. So Jalen transformed made us a winning team. So when I look at things like most improved player, it goes much more than stats. What was the impact that he had on the organization? And Jalen has had a profound impact on our culture. But OKC has a whole lot to be excited about over the next 5 years.
Yeah, they've got a nice core growing over there with Giddy, SGA, Chet. He'll pop back up at some point. Hopefully he'll bulk up. Still finding
And a frightening amount of draft assets that you can't, that they're like crazy amount that you can't comprehend. So you think we have good assets? I think they have 3 times the amount of assets that we have. So I could see them this year. They got Chet, so I don't know if they go for a Wembanyama when you have Chet, because I literally look at them the same way. With Chet, I think being a touch tougher, but I could see them going for a piece like Scoot or something, using a lot of the assets they have. Scoot, SGA, Chet, and a few other guys. Giddy is good, but his shooting and Giddy may end up in a Draymond position. He's a big dude. He's 6'8" and change. So he may become a point power forward. He can double digit on his rebounds. But they have a whole lot of leverage, OKC, for the future. That's for sure.
Yeah, bright. The future is definitely bright over there. They made it to the play-in. That's pretty shocking. A lot of people expected them to be one of the basement dwellers or bottom dwellers, and they had a pretty competitive season. You got some star potential players in SGA, Giddy, and
Yeah, and they got other guys, Trey Mann, and other guys that. They really have a lot more, time to develop. So, yeah, they have, OKC, Orlando. Orlando has picks this year. There's a lot of teams that have frightening futures. They're deep, man, position from position. Orlando is really deep, and they're going to get only deeper with this draft.
Yeah, facts. So, Foxy, I was able to find some more comments. This is from Brunson and Hart as well. This is on Julius Randle. Let's hear what they have to say. Oh, let me put it on screen first. Skipping steps over here.
Drew's been a leader since the day I came here. What he's able to do while he's either on or off the floor has been incredible. He's been special. All he wants to do is win. And when he has that mindset, it's very contagious. And so he's been a leader, and we always got his back. And he wants nothing else but to win. Drew has been a leader since the day I came here.
So there you go. Jalen Brunson's comments on Julius Randle, him being a leader. You like to hear, Jalen Brunson, he always says the right thing.
I was going to say, he'll say exactly what Tibbs would say.
Yeah. He always says the right thing.
And it's the right thing as a teammate. It's the right thing to say.
Yep. And, he's mentioning what he's been doing either or off the floor. And you also heard it during the broadcast. We didn't really see too much of him off the court and what he was doing. But, Mark Jackson did say he was out there being a good teammate. So that's definitely a positive. There's been times where Julius Randle hasn't had a good game and he kind of looks disconnected from the team. So, I didn't see any of that. I didn't hear any of that being reported. So I think that's definitely some growth you can point towards it for, Julius Randle.
Hey, we commented last week whether Julius, with his kid, Julius, given, I think, $700,000, $800,000 to the school system here in New York. Julius is a good guy. It's just pressure is a trigger for him not to play at a level that he plays when he's not under pressure.
Hopefully, though, he'll be able to figure that out because we've already
Hopefully.
seen him struggle.
And like we said, man, we're 3-1, and with all these guys not playing well. So Julius, hopefully, he comes back, gets more of that rhythm coming back from that injury, and we just go further than we have.
Yep. Also want to put on screen, this is from New York Basketball, NBA _New York. You can see RJ Barrett in games 3 and 4. He's averaging 22.5 points per game, 57% shooting, 5 rebounds per game, and only 1 turnover per game. So once again, RJ was getting a lot of flack for his poor performance in those games in Cleveland. And there were reports from Knicks management that they weren't too concerned. They felt like once we got into the Garden, RJ felt the energy from that home crowd. He would be able to figure it out. And that's exactly what we've seen in these last 2 games. I think it'll be big now for him to be able to carry this over and perform that way in Cleveland, because it's good that he's able to do this. It's phenomenal he's able to do this in front of the home crowd. But to elevate yourself from being just, a potential role player to someone that can be relied upon both at home and away is going to be a big step, I think, in his development as a potential, I won't say 1A, but maybe a 1B or second option. I think that'll be big in his development if he's able to now build upon this and show he can perform in more hostile environments.
Yeah. RJ, if you're listening, all we ask is you be aggressive, get into the hole. Please hit those foul shots. Please hit those foul shots. That 3-ball come around. But like he said earlier, that little midi was sweet. Just do that. But hit those foul shots, please.
Yeah, that's all we need. Hit those. Well, not all we need. I want him to knock down some threes as well. He got to figure that out.
And some assists.
Yeah, some assists as well, but knock down the three, man. He can be so deadly if he can just be consistent.
Changes everything, because then the guy has to take a step closer to him, and then he could drive right by him. So it changes everything from spacing, etc. If you hit those threes, and like we said, man, he's too good of a player. He's not a 20% shooter, folks. So hopefully he's way overdue. So is our guy Quick. Quick's not a 27% 3-point shooter, man.
Yeah, Quick will figure it out though. I thought he would have been a little bit better at home. I thought he was really gonna have the type of performance we're seeing from RJ Barrett at home. So it does suck that he's been so lackluster, I guess is the best way to put it, offensively. But once again, the effort he's putting out there defensively, it's really hard, I think, to ask for a little bit too much, especially when you're winning. You want it. In a perfect world, he'll figure it out. But as long as he continues to play defense, contribute to winning basketball the way he's had, you'll live with it.
Yeah. And we should be joyous, up 3-1 and everything. But, of course, Knicks 100 a game is really happy that IQ's not playing well. He's been saying all year he's a bum. Yeah. Even though he was second in Sixth Man of the Year and he's developed greatly, he's a bum. So totally disagree with you, Mr. Knicks 100 a game on that one.
Yep. So just wanted to talk about the big man again. I don't think they get as much credit as they deserve. So looking at how they've been comparing against Allen and Mobley in the game today, Allen and Mobley in 75 minutes, they had 11 rebounds, 4 offensive, 2 blocks. Mitch and Hartenstein in only 48 minutes had 19 rebounds, 8 offensive, and 4 blocks. So they've just been beasts down there in the paint. They've really been able to impose their will. And I think you see some of the hesitancy from guys on drives. I think in this game, Garland, he was a little bit more willing to go and get into the paint, especially in that third quarter. You saw him attack.
Gorgeous dimes.
Also had that nice little, like a floater, where he was able to draw contact as well on Mitchell Robinson and go to the line. But outside of that, you really saw the Cavs kind of hesitant to get into the paint. And when they did get into the paint, really didn't find too much success. And a lot of that can be credited to the defense you're seeing from Robinson and Hart.
Absolutely.
D. Gon says, RJ, box your man out. Taka says, the point of having a deep team is we can rely on multiple players and get away with some players having a bad game. Facts. Unless that player's name is Jalen Brunson. It's very hard for us to get away with Jalen Brunson having a bad game, especially with Julius Randle playing poorly. If Julius Randle was playing a little bit better, then you could see us, being able to overcome a poor showing from Jalen Brunson. But right now, we need Jalen Brunson firing on all cylinders every game, because if he starts to struggle, really, I don't know who we're going to get to really step up and carry that same type of workload. I mean, look at the game we lost. What was that? The game we lost 107-90. Brunson was 5 of 17, 20 points, but wasn't an efficient 20. And they really, made life difficult for him. And yeah, Randle, he dropped 20, but that was once again another inefficient 20 at 8 of 20 from the field. So if they're able to find a way to neutralize Jalen Brunson, I think that's when you're going to see the offensive roles that we've been having so far this first round really come to bite us in the butt.
Yeah, he was 1 for 8 in that game, and I thought it was more due to his rust than their defense. So I think every game Brunson's going to be getting more into the groove. So hopefully he doesn't take a hard charge or anything.
Yeah,
but
stay away from that.
They're in a whole lot of trouble, man. Because as we said, we've been winning game after game with not only one but the other day it was IQ Grimes before he hurt his shoulder, and like in RJ. So we're winning game after game with multiple guys having off games. So that's why I'm elated that, just as much statistically that happens, statistically we're overdue for guys just playing average. And if our guys play the way they play during the season, we'll blow them out, man.
Yes, sir. You gotta feel good as a Knicks fan right now. You gotta feel confident as well, especially when you look at the path moving forward.
Yeah, and that even in their victory, they scored 104 points.
107.
107. Yeah, 107. Right, 107. So even when they won, they were only able. And what's that key metric we have as a team?
They score under 110 points.
Yeah. So when they score under 110 points, that 35-4 record. This is including regular season and playoffs, folks. That's killer, man. That's the thing that Tibbs should have on that blackboard. Play that hard defense. We hold these guys or any team under 110 points. We have an unbelievable percentage of winning that game.
And that's why we've been able to get away with us having a poor showing offensively. The fact that we're able to hold the Cavs under that 110 points, in a lot of cases under 100 points. And they're struggling right now to find other areas of offense or other people to score other than Garland and spurts and, Donovan Mitchell. I think if you look at the games, Donovan Mitchell has only gone off in one game? And that was the first game in which they lost. Outside of that, the game they beat us, Garland went off. And then, the next couple of games, Spida really hasn't had his moment. And I think if you headed into this series and said Donovan Mitchell would not have a moment in which he kind of took a game over, you would say that the Knicks would most likely win the series.
Yeah, and in the game where they did win and Garland went off, he had a good game on assists.
Mm-hmm, but he really wasn't.
But you didn't make that trade for him to have assists.
Right, you wanted him to be a bucket getter. But, you got to understand when someone has the hot hand, you keep feeding them. But Donovan Mitchell has to find a way to take over if he wants to justify that haul that the Jazz got for him. He hasn't been able to impose his will at any time, I think, in this series. And that's a credit to Josh Hart, who's defended him, Quentin Grimes when he's defended him when he's been in the game, and also, Deuce, and, the way Tibbs has schemed up this defense to really make it difficult for Donovan Mitchell. And even when he does, break down the initial defender, he's got somebody like Mitch to wall up, Hart to wall up, and force him into some difficult mid-range shots.
A shout out to Mega NYK. Hope all is well with you and your family.
Yep, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate the support.
Trish D said, Jalen Rose says this series is over because Cleveland is too top-heavy outside of Donovan and Garland. They can't really rely on anyone else. And that's, we said that earlier in the show. That
say that all series.
After those two guys, who else is going to frighten us?
Who makes you scared? Who makes you nervous?
LeVert, if he's a microwave, but he's an inconsistent microwave.
Mm-hmm. Can't really rely on him game to game. Now maybe that they're going home, you might see him start to step up and, feed off of that home crowd. But in those road games, man, he really didn't give them much.
Thanks.
And we'll talk about Quentin Grimes a little bit. I saw somebody mention Grimes shooting has been horrible. Josh is baking up. Yeah, Grimes hasn't been given too many opportunities in the series. And when he has been putting up shots, he hasn't been making them. But he was on the sideline. This is a tweet from Fred Katz that says, the sling Grimes is wearing is a protective measure since he's on the bench and close to other teammates and whatnot. He's day-to-day, so Game 5 remains a possibility. I don't know. I'm in the medical field. I'm not going to sit here and act like I've interacted with a lot of athletes, but I really haven't seen too many people be given a sling over, a shoulder, quote unquote, contusion. Typically, when you give somebody a sling, it's because there's some structural damage in the shoulder, and they want to make sure it stays in
Mobilize
place,
it, yeah.
so that it can, heal a little bit faster. So they're saying contusion. My personal belief is I feel like it was dislocated at one point. They popped it back in, and now they have it in the sling to see if it can heal up and be, or get him to a point where he can come back and play. That's my guess. No actual medical information that I've been given by the team or I've seen or anything like that. That's just what it seems like to me, because when you saw him after the initial contact and the way he left the court, it was either a dislocation or, sometimes you might see it like a stinger in football, but to me it looked more like it could have been a potential dislocation.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I have stayed in a Holiday Inn. And but it's funny that Keith and I were just saying, from us just being longtime football fans, that when you see a player running off the field and he's running with that shoulder that he injured drooping, Tom, that's a dislocation, man. If they're having that shoulder low like that and their arm like that, that's either a separated or a dislocated shoulder, man.
Yeah, so hopefully we're way off, and it's nothing much, and he'll be back, and able to come back in. But
did you see the play? I have never seen the play
I think it's all I saw was him heading to the locker room.
Me too.
And
I think it was on the inbound play last game where IQ stepped over the line for the turnover. And the next thing I know, he's on the sidelines holding his shoulder. So I'm like, he must have been trying to get around a screen or something and just hit it the wrong way.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll keep you up to date on the situation. But, hopefully he'll be able to come back. He's already missed some time throughout his career. He's had nagging injuries here and there. And, towards the end of the season, he was really starting to find his groove offensively. Really hasn't been able to be much of a factor offensively in this series. But defensively, he's definitely been a pest and been key in, us containing Donovan Mitchell. So we would just like him to get back as quickly as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, he's just a good guy. He's a great communicator on D to the rest of the guys. Like you said, I just love his angles. And he's been coming up short. So prior to this shoulder injury and us being old school, usually when you hit the front of the rim, that means tired legs. So, I don't know. Last year he had that knee injury, that patella injury, and thank God it wasn't an issue this year. But hopefully he'll come back from that shoulder. Hopefully those legs will be a little refreshed, and that jumper will be going in. We have a super chat.
Yep. Thank you for the super chat, Trish. It says, did you see anything happen in the game? I'm thinking maybe QG had a collision in practice with Jericho and has been playing injured from the start, and this is why he was missing shots. Yeah, we just now mentioned it. I didn't see the play in which he got hurt. I didn't see much contact. And, we just saw him leaving the court with his arm dropped. And, I'll look a little bit further to see if I can see anything specific in the game once again and, report back to you. But nothing really popped off the screen that I said, ooh, that was a bad hit. I can see why he's in pain and he's leaving the court.
Me too.
Kaiser Soze 718 says, don't rush Grimes back if we don't have to. Yep. Especially with the way Josh Hart has been playing as he's elevated to the starting lineup. If we were relying on Quentin Grimes a little bit more for offense, like let's say he was knocking down his three-point shot 45% clip so far in the playoffs, then you might say, all right, we want to see Grimes, get back in action. We really need him to win the series. His three-point shooting has been, instrumental in us getting to where we've been. But we've been solid with him not contributing much offensively, and with a guy like Josh Hart stepping up, with a guy like Deuce McBride on the bench stepping up defensively, I don't think we'll miss a beat. So, hopefully rest up, get healthy. I just hope he'll be able to return at some point this playoffs, because with a separated shoulder, it can be pretty tricky. I mean, we saw Cam last year, him fall down and separate his shoulder, even though that was a little bit of a different circumstance, but it still took him some time to get back and into the flow of things.
I also think he had surgery to get back into the flow of things.
Here you go, Foxy. Don't kick a man while he's down. Let's see. Knicks 100 a game says it's crazy how people don't know their own team. Who's coming at that? Who's Knicks 100 taking a shot at this time?
He's an pardon me, he's an equal opportunity offender. So everybody's open for Knicks 100 a game.
D. Gon says a little Deuce to cool off a hot hand could help. Facts. Kudos to Tom. He's been more open to using Deuce as like a situational option in terms of putting him on, an opposing team's perimeter player, try to disrupt them. And Deuce has done a great job. He's what we thought Frank Nitti was going to be when Frank Nitti was here, and we realized he wasn't going to be much of a key contributor. You wanted at least him to be someone that you can throw out there situational, be a situational player that you can throw out there and get some solid defense from. Deuce has been proven to be that guy, in a smaller frame, smaller stature, but he's been extremely reliable out there defensively.
That, and also he is a perfect personification of a player that Tibbs would love. He's a gym rat. He's in there early. He's in there late. He's cheering the team on when he doesn't get minutes, that he's doing everything he can to help the team. And that's Tibbs is going to give a guy like that, he's going to give opportunities to players like that. That's his type of player. You knew immediately that Josh Hart was his type of player. Jalen Brunson is his type of player. Quentin Grimes is his type of player. And Deuce is his type of player. So I'm glad, and hopefully those minutes will expand. And while we still play the Cavs and they have a diminutive backcourt in size, Deuce line, really matches up well. And hopefully we beat the Cavs and go to the next level. And then we get back that 6'5", Quentin Grimes.
Would you say Randle's a Tibbs player?
No. I think that Tibbs respects his unbelievable talent. And again, you can't be twice in your career all NBA, but I Tibbs is a real good guy, but I think Tibbs knows that he's not reliable in crunch time.
I think I don't know. I think Tibbs is still a fan of Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle, when he's given 100% effort, is a Tibbs kind of guy, but I think it's hit or miss sometimes. Because when he's out there running around like a big Wolverine, being ferocious on defense, getting block shots and things like that, he can look and appear as someone that could be a Tibbs guy, but it's too hit or miss with him. It's not consistent. The minute things start to go awry for him offensively, it's like he just completely shuts down. And, you've got to realize that, it's two parts of the game. Offensively, it might not be clicking, but you shouldn't allow that to take away from what you're doing defensively, and, vice versa. Well, you shouldn't be messing up defensively the way he's messing up in this game, period, so no vice versa.
Yeah, I'm with you. And like we said, you could see whether it was child or what he's a good guy. So I'm sure Tibbs is rooting for him that he's a good guy. But sometimes as a coach or a parent or something like that, that somebody may not have the mental toughness under pressure. And you wish they did, and you're doing everything you can to put them in a situation to be optimized, optimal, play at an optimal level. But you also realize sometimes people are the biggest enemy. And Julius, he gets to a level that I don't know, even Tibbs could get through to him. Like, come down, Julius. Come on, man. We're winning by 10.
There, Julius. There.
Like, come on, chill, man. Don't get crazy with the refs unless it's Scott Foster. Him you can punch in the face from me.
I thought the ref with the baldy was about to give Hart a T. I was like, Hart, bro, you got to chill. You've had a bunch of T's to end the season, just playoffs. We don't need more technicals. Just chill, bro. Luckily, they didn't get the T, so I was thrilled about that one because I thought he was this close. I was like, bro, walk away. Walk away. We don't need, a technical, bring down the crowd, get the Cavs amped up. We don't need nothing like that. Yeah. Also, we've got some quotes from Deuce McBride. Want to put that on screen? Let's see what our guy Deuce has to say.
Your approach versus Donovan when you were on the floor in that first half, what was it? No, I'm going to take every challenge. I'm not going to back down from anybody. Obviously, I was fortunate enough to get this chance to go out there and play, and I just want to show what I can do.
Did you know when Quentin was out, did you know that you would be getting minutes?
The coaches are going to be pretty transparent with me, so they were like, just be ready. Games can flow in different ways, so I was always trying to stay ready.
Your approach versus Donovan.
Like that, my man said, I'm not scared of nobody. Put him in front of
Tim's
me,
type
I'm
of
going to lock
player,
him
man.
up. So you got to like that confidence, because Donovan Mitchell, he's been struggling, but he's still a star in this league. And, he's an incredibly talented player, incredibly gifted athlete, and he's got the ability to score from all three levels. He's got mid-range. He's got a mid-range game. He can flush and finish around the rim. He can knock down the three. So when you have a guy that has those many, that can attack from so many areas out there on the court, it's extremely difficult for a guy like Deuce to really, try to get in his head and figure out what he's trying to do on each possession. So for Deuce to be able to stay in front of him and match him in terms of staying in front of him with his shiftiness and also not allowing Donovan Mitchell to overpower him, because another big key to Deuce and his defense is the fact that he's physical and, not too physical and doesn't get overzealous and cause, give up too many fouls, but he's able to stay in front of guys that can, try to get some separation and get space to try and knock down the shot. So with Deuce, you got to love what he's able to give to us defensively. And, his technique out there is A1.
Doesn't surprise me. When I was scouting Deuce at West Virginia, his game against Cade Cunningham was the shit, man. He was the ish, man. He was at Oklahoma State, like a generational player. And when you watched him go against him or Davion Mitchell at Baylor, who, who's playing really well for Sacramento, but they were like elite players talking. And when Deuce played him at West Virginia, man, he played them tough. So I knew immediately that he was not intimidated by somebody that's supposed to be the next coming and Cade Cunningham, etc. So I knew that he had the right attitude. And when he came to the Knicks, I'm like, yeah, we got ourselves a dog, man. This guy ain't afraid of nobody.
Yes, sir. And again, shrewd drafting by the Knicks, finding guys that can contribute later on in the draft. You look at this roster, Deuce, second round pick. Quentin Grimes, he's getting started
25.
minutes, 25, IQ, 25. So you see how this front office has built this team, and they've hit on late round draft picks. And these guys are, I think, going to be instrumental in helping us get over the hump, whether it be via included in a trade or staying on the team and helping to win out there on the court. So kudos to the front office, man. They've definitely been doing their job, especially in the draft.
One of the first shows this year, Keith and I were talking to the SV Nation, and we said that before the season started, one of the teams you want to emulate is the Memphis Grizzlies. And the Memphis Grizzlies' key to success is picks at number 30, getting these guys that are working their scheme, but are also tough players. Dylan Brooks is not a lottery player, and they're missing Brandon Clark and stuff like that. But, you see Tillman stepping up, with Adams out. So, putting together, there's a lot of players that you can pick up that way that, give you depth but also are tough. You have to have toughness to be, to really, try to get a chip in this league, man. You see what's happening with Cleveland. They don't have dogs.
Mm-hmm. And we kept one of the dogs away
from them. They have talent. Too. Talent and dogs are two different things.
Yes, sir. Speaking of that talent, let's go now to Garland, see what Garland had to say about his matchup with Jalen Brunson and them going one-on-one against each other.
Darius, you were matched up against Brunson when you were playing defense a lot more than what has been the case in the first 3 games. What was your approach in that matchup?
Try to make it tough. JB is a really good player. I mean, he misses a lot of tough shots. So just try to make it tough for him. Try to send him to our bigs as much as I can. And just try to make him take tough shots.
Is that a matchup that you asked for, or how did that come about?
I mean, yeah. That's what the people want to see. 2 of the top guards in the East go at it. Yeah, I mean, I'm guarding him on the defensive end. So, yeah, that's a matchup I want.
Darius, you were matched up.
So that's what Garland had to say about guarding Brunson. Bro, just say you got cooked. That's all you got to say, bro. He had Garland flailing. I forgot which quarter it is, but he had that man on skates and he missed the three. Yeah. Oh, like, man, I wanted him to make that down, so
the crowd's
bad.
Gonna go crazy.
Bro, I thought he injured him, man. He had him with the Bambi legs out there. I was like, oh, man down. We're just waiting for somebody to do a little, not a voiceover, but hit him with the gunshots. Bang, bang. We got a body.
Yeah, we got some chicken legs out here, man.
Yeah, man. That man was food. Let me see what we got going on in chat. Jacko Bluntly, thank you for tuning in. It says Knicks in 5. Yeah, man. Hopefully we can get this gentleman sweep going and get these guys out of here, man. Send them to Cancun.
Get a little time,
vacation, quick. And, hopefully, if we able to wrap this up in 5, it'll give some of the guys that are injured more time to get healthy. Randle, maybe he's still dealing with the ankle a little bit. You listen to Tibbs.
Josh.
What he had to say. Yeah, Josh, he's dealing with the more recent ankle injury.
Brunson and now Quinn
with the hand injury. Quentin Grimes, even Jericho Sims, just in case we need him, help him get a little bit healthier as well, just in case we got to throw him out there for some minutes.
Grime and Quick maybe a touch tired, man. A lot of pressure on him, but maybe a couple days, extra days for him will, recharge the battery.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so Foxy, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you all for tuning in. Really do appreciate the support. Anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Just everyone, let's go Knicks. Let's put the Cavs with the next game or the next few games. Let's do this. But it's been a wonderful season, man. 3 playoff wins, man. One more to go, but 3 playoff wins is just a revelation. I'm so happy about it and playing the New York type of basketball. So let's go Knicks. Thank you to the SV Nation. I love taking this journey. Like he said, if you have subscribed, thank you so much. If you haven't, please, as we always say, it's the one-stop shop for Knicks news, rumors, and analysis. Please turn on that reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the great content. If you can't catch it live, shout out to the replay gang. We love chopping it up with the comments. And as always, shout out to the best mods on the planet. We appreciate all you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the ice cream truck outside, but I'll be headed out there right after this to continue the celebration. Knicks definitely went out there, did their thing, and protected home court. That was the number one thing that the Knicks had to do. In these 2 home games, not allow the Cleveland Cavaliers to win back home court advantage. And you got to be thrilled with the way the Knicks were able to go out there and play. The shot wasn't falling. It wasn't the prettiest brand of basketball at times, but we did what we had to do in order to get the job done. We saw Jalen Brunson step up and knock down some key shots and show that Cleveland Cavaliers still don't have an answer for him. RJ Barrett, he's starting to wake up. That's something that's going to be key for this team in the playoffs, not even just the series. So if we're able to advance, we need RJ Barrett firing on all cylinders. So for him to be performing the way he has over the last 2 games and being extremely efficient inside the 3-point line, that's something that you can definitely look at and hope that he can continue to, build upon and build out his game from there. Get to his spots where he feels comfortable, and when given the opportunity to knock down open threes, knock them down. And he did knock down one that was taken away. I forgot who made a foul. It might have been iHeart or something like that. He knocked it down.
I think Josh walked.
Oh, yeah, the travel. There we go.
Travel at the foul line, yeah.
And it negated the 3-point shot. So at least he was able to see that go down. Hopefully, he can start knocking down the 3 at a much higher clip. As you've seen with the stats, for the most part, it's been pretty abysmal. But, he's still got an opportunity to turn that around, and he just got to get into the lab and put the work in.
I got a favor to ask.
Yeah, shoot.
Could you pick me up a root beer float?
I got you, bro, man. I got you. I'm going to get me a milkshake. I'm going to get a Cocoa Merlin. I'm not sure if you're too familiar with a Cocoa Merlin. It's when they put, the chocolate syrup on the top, and then around the ring, they put some rainbow sprinkles. Love it. It's been my go-to. It's getting crazy now with the prices though. When I was younger, it was like $1.25, $1.50. It's like $3 for a Coke. That's nuts. That's out of control. Inflation is a hell of a thing.
Root beer float with some forbidden Skittles. That sounds like a really good, a delicious night for me, man.
Sounds good. But thank you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate the support. We'll be back again next Sunday. Chop it up. Talk to you guys. Hopefully at that point, we'll be previewing the next series for the New York Knicks. Let's look at the schedule. Let me pull the schedule up real quick once again. Because if the series does go further, is there another game on that Sunday? Yeah, it looks like that. It's a Sunday. 4/28 is that?
Yep.
No,
it's a Sunday.
4/28 or 4/30.
Today is what? Today is the 23rd, so next Sunday is the 30th.
Yeah, so if it goes 7 somehow, that next Sunday stream will be
beat their ass so we can have our normal show at 6. Come on, next we don't ask a lot.
Facts. You know, I don't mind post game editions, but I like it when we have our regular Sunday stream because you know with the post game editions, you never know how we're gonna be when we pull up. Is it gonna be a win and we're hype, or is it gonna be a loss and we got to talk about all the things that we did wrong and what we got to build upon the next game? You know, I like to come up here, celebratory fashion, have my fun, chop it up, and to be coming on after talking about a potential Game 7 loss, I'd be devastated because there's no reason this should go 7, and there's no reason we should not be able to find a way to pull off this series win. So fingers crossed we don't have that type of stream to go through, but we shall see. Nothing's guaranteed. So thank you all.
We don't want any drama, man.
Yes, sir. We don't need any drama. There's enough drama going around in all the other series. We don't need it in this one. So thank you all for tuning in. Really do appreciate all the support. And till next time.